Good evening and a good afternoon to viewers from all walks of life. This is Desmos and welcome you to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the channel of breaking empaths free. If it's your first time here and narcissism resonates with you, I encourage you to join our community, like a page, share with your friends, subscribe. And for those who've always been with me, you are welcome back and I thank you for your love and support. In this video, I would like to say thank you for all the people who have made it possible because we've reached 3,000 subscribers. The page is still growing. It grows day by day, hour by hour, month by month, whatever it is, we're growing on a daily basis. And I appreciate all of you, each and every one of you. I love you all and keep on supporting me. I will do the content. The only thing you have to do, watch the video, share with your friends, get enlightenment if you have to, and whatever it is, spread the word. I'm spreading the word. You can always use my content to spread the word further to the people who need my content, because by saving a soul, that soul also saves a soul. So we make the world a better place. During my lifetime, I had the chance to attend so many different types of churches, especially I'm talking about Pentecostal churches for this matter. Where I come from, there are so many. There are thousands, hundreds and thousands of them. You can find a church at every end of the street. There's a church there. So in those churches, I couldn't get it in those days. I couldn't understand what was going on in those days. But as I kept on evolving recently, a couple of years ago, after my awakening, when I kept on evolving, it started making sense to me what was actually happening behind the scenes. And I do not say after this video, you are going to abandon your church. So I don't tell you that because I've talked about churches and everything, you need to, abandon the church all of a sudden and go look for another one. No, the only thing I'm trying to tell you here in this video is that you are supposed to get enlightened. This is an enlightenment page. So you get enlightened to become more conscious of the churches you're involved with and the churches you're following. There used to be a channel I used to follow. There used to be there's another content creator on YouTube. I may put the link on one of the sites on somewhere in the corner, left or right. I'm going to put a link, and you guys can go to that page and follow that channel, because the content creator was actually married to a religious narcissist. This was a pastor, a pastor, an overseer of the whole church, who was actually the narcissist himself. And I want you to follow that page, because on that page, she goes deeper and deeper into these religious narcissists and how they operate. So it is going to give you more enlightenment of what is going on behind the scenes. But in my own version, the churches I followed, the churches I attended in those days, I attended many, I cannot even count, but I attended many of them. You could find a pastor, for example, a leader of a church, an overseer of a church. They have got, because behind the churches, they're also doing some other things behind the church, behind the scenes. They're also doing some other things. They could be running some other businesses. Maybe they're running farms. They have different types of things they're running behind the scenes. And in some of those churches, I saw pastors who actually used to come to the church and bring their product to the church. I'm not going to mention names. I'm not going to mention this. I'm not going to give a lot of details, because church is a very sensitive subject. It's a very sensitive topic to talk about. So I want to just leave out some of the details. But I've seen pastors who used to actually promote their own products. They would make their own products. Like for this matter, there was a pastor who used to have a farm, a rice farm. And he would come to the church and actually ask their congregation that if they would buy rice from him, they would get blessed. If they would, so he called it he said that this was like a holy rice. You know what I mean? So he termed his rice to be holy rice, and he told the congregation, a very huge congregation, thousands of people, that they should buy rice from his farm, because when they buy rice from that farm, they are going to get blessed. Now, for me in those days, it didn't make much more sense in that time, but now I understand what was going on. And I can give you so many examples of other pastors who, I saw another one time, the pastor, he produced women underwear, and he put his picture on the underwear. So he came with his underwear to the church and asked the congregation that they should buy that underwear, because when they buy that underwear, they are going to get blessed in some kind of a way, especially the women who were barren and who were looking for children. So the pastor came to the church, and he told the congregation they need to buy the underwear from him, because there was this picture on the underwear, and they would get blessed if they actually used and wore that underwear. Another pastors, there's so many of them, people, like I've said, I can go on and on and on and on. I've seen so many kinds of churches, these kind of churches. I've visited so many of them. What you need to understand, people, the empaths, most of the empaths, they are churchgoers. They love God. They like to praise. They like to worship. So most of the empaths, you'll meet a lot of them in churches. A lot of them in churches. And it does not mean that because narcissists are unbelievers, you will not find them in church. There's narcissists for this matter. You will even find the pastor, the overseer of a church. They are narcissists themselves, and they are using this thing to their advantage. They are using these churches to their own advantage to promote their products. They are using these churches as a gold mine. So they are actually literally mining for gold. I've seen pastors who actually had to ask people, the congregation for that matter, you have got to get an envelope and put money in it. Even sometimes they would mention the amount of money they needed. And all the congregation need to do, the members, all they need to do was put the money in an envelope and take it to the office. Just because when you give the money, when you give that offer to the office, you get a different type of blessings. So there was a different envelope for a different type of blessing, for a specific type of blessing. $100 for so and so blessing, $200 for so and so blessings. So they would mention which amount of money you had to offer for you to get what type of blessing. Now, people, I want to make something very clear. Anybody can pray. You can pray in your room. You can pray in your house. You can pray in your workplace. You can pray on the way. You can pray on the bus. You can pray in whichever way of form, you can pray to God, and God will always bless you without having to give a specific amount of money to a pastor because the pastor has got to pray for you for a certain blessing. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that if you ever see those kind of individuals who are actually price tagging their own products, their own commodities, they have got their own business they're running outside church, and they're coming to church and actually telling the congregation they should buy from them those products at a specific amount of at a specific price. They're giving specific prices for those products, and they're asking the congregation to buy from them. Those churches, most of the cases, they are run by narcissists. Narcissists, you have got to understand, people. The churches, they are one of the biggest sports places the narcissists use to get their victims, to target their victims, because they know most of the victims going to church, they are very easy and very soft people. Most of these cases, and for this matter, we're talking about the empaths. So they already know, as long as you're following their church, like I've always mentioned people in my videos, the narcissists, the first thing they want to do is put you to sleep. They will do everything possible in that church to put you to sleep. By the time I've seen people personally, I have seen people with my own eyes, people who have had to hand over land titles to pastors, to churches, their own houses, their own cars, their own properties. They hand over properties to the church because the pastor has said if they hand over those things to the church and offer them to the church, they are going to get a different kind of blessing. Now, there's nothing wrong with offertory. You can offer in whichever way possible. It does not always mean that when you want to offer something, you have got to offer it to your pastor. You can actually help somebody in need, anybody in need, wherever you may find them. If you are supposed to offer something because your pastor from the church has told you, if you give them £100, if you give them $100 or whatever, $200, they are going to pray for you, so you're going to get a different kind of blessing. You can get that blessing, people. What I'm trying to tell you is that you can get that blessing by you yourself praying directly to God. You do not need a middleman to pray for you. You do not need a middleman to pray for you. For this matter, a pastor or an overseer of a church to pray for you to get a specific kind of blessing. You can get blessed by God just by you speaking directly to God. That is the whole meaning of prayer. You can pray and you can always be blessed. You do not have to get blessed by you giving your properties to the church because somebody has told you you can offer your car, you can offer your land, you can offer your houses, you can offer your properties. Each and everything. Even I've seen sometimes pastors, some people have actually, most of those pastors have ended up actually having to sleep with people's wives. Women, men have attended churches, the pastors have used them for their own benefit, even sometimes for this matter, sexual benefits. Just because they believe that if they sleep with a certain pastor, they are going to conceive. Because they sleep with the pastor, they're going to conceive. I've seen all these things everywhere. The only thing I'm trying to say in this video, especially the black community, you're supposed to understand what you're dealing with. Narcissism is everywhere. These guys, they have infiltrated all society, everything. They have infiltrated churches. They have infiltrated schools, politics, governments, schools, families. They have infiltrated. You can find narcissists, literally, you can find them everywhere. The only thing you're supposed to know is you need to decipher exactly what are you exactly dealing with the kind of individuals. If you see individuals who are focused on money and the benefits, they are focused on your money, they are focused on you actually having to give money. It's almost feels as if they need to pull the money out of your wallets, out of your pockets. You have got to know people you're most likely dealing with the narcissists. Those individuals, they use churches for their own benefits. Most of that money you're giving, they're taking that money and doing their own things, running their own businesses, running their own homes. And at the end of the day, I have seen people who have ended up homeless because they've given whatever it is they had, all their belongings, they have given it to a church, they have offered everything to church, they have stayed homeless. Some of them have had to go days without food. They have actually rendered them homeless just because they have given everything to the churches. People, you need to understand, and like I've said, it is not all churches that are in this category. It is not all churches are doing this. There is some churches you have got to know. If you see a church that is actually very much involved in taking from you, there's not much they're offering you. They are taking a lot from you, but they're not giving back to society in whichever way or form. They're not giving back to society. They're not helping the needy, but they're just actually taking from the people. You have got to understand people. Some of these nurses, you can see a nurse, you can see a pastor, an overseer, a leader. They can read the Bible from the beginning to the end. They know each and every scripture in the Bible. They can recite the Bible without having to double think. But behind closed doors, they're doing something different. They're sleeping with somebody's wife. They're cheating. They're in adultery. They're selling their own products for their own benefits. There's nothing they're giving back to society. You are just coming to churches, following the church. They are taking from you each and everything you got from you. You are supposed to understand people. These individuals, they have infiltrated churches, and there are so many of them in the churches as well. So if you're in a church, if you're involved in a church, you have got to double check the leaders of those churches, the overseers of those churches. You have got to know that church is authentic. If you ever feel, because I know, like I've always said, those individuals, the first thing they'll do is they will put you to sleep. You can find the pastor, they have brainwashed their victims, they have brainwashed the congregation, they have put them to sleep. And now the congregation, they completely believe in them. Each and everything they are saying is the truth. Whatever they are saying in that church is the truth. So at that point in time, people, they are put to sleep and they do not know what is the truth behind those churches. If a person is going to church, people, I'm telling you, you have got to open your eyes, get enlightened, and actually double check those individuals. What exactly are they doing behind closed doors? You need to understand, is the church the only source of income they have? If it's most likely that church is the only source of income they have, it is most likely you're dealing with a narcissist. There's nothing wrong with running a church, but a pastor or an overseer of a church, they can always do other things besides church. They can come to church because they are serving God. They have been chosen to serve God. But at the end of the day, behind the scenes, when they're not in church, they have got to be running other things besides the church. But if you see people who are focused on actually collecting whatever it is they want from people, whatever it is they can from the congregations, from the people, you're supposed to understand it is most likely you are dealing with a narcissist. Besides the pastors, there's also the churches whereby the congregation, they are narcissists in the congregation. The narcissists, they find it very easy to pick up victims of the churches because they believe the easiest and the softest targets, they are found in churches, in worship places. So they'll come in the churches, they'll be praying along with you, they'll be standing somewhere in the back, they'll be sitting in the congregation. You will think that they are part of you. But these are narcissists, they have just come to target some people, they have come to pick up victims from those churches because they believe it is very easy to meet an empath, to meet those worshippers and believers. They are very soft and easy targets for them. So they will end up in churches and pick up people from this kind of churches. So people, in this video, if a person is going to church, I do not say, and again, I'll repeat, I do not say you have got to wake up wake up one morning and abandon your church. No, I don't mean it like that. The only thing I'm saying is that you have got to be aware that the narcissists, they have infiltrated churches. They are part of the congregation. And at the end of the day, you can also find there are some churches whereby the pastors and the leaders and the overseers of those churches, they are actually the narcissists themselves. They are using those churches as gold mines to mine, to take money from people, to abuse people's finances and to take from people whatever it is they have left of them. Other than that, people, let me know what you think in this comment section below. Let me know if you have been a victim of this kind of circumstance, if you have been in the church and probably you made your narcissist as a team in the congregation, or maybe sometime your pastor has been the narcissists themselves. Let me know what has been your experience and let's share together. Other than that, people, it's been a lovely day to have you guys on board. Thank you very much, and I'll get back in touch with you soon. Much love and blessings. Desmo signing out.